Bonjour and welcome to Friends Black Metal Time. This time we have a rather new band, Les Bâtards du Roi. Pardon my friends, I'm not really French-speaking person. Les Chemins de l'Exil. That's as far as I can kind of a guess how you would go. Probably horrible translation. Based on what Google mentioned about translation, and I obviously meant pronunciation there. So with translation, this Les Bâtards du Roi means something like the bastards of the king, and Les Chemins means the paths to exile. Roughly that way anyway. That was a suggestion by Google Translate. This is Ladlow release, once again, nice looking digipack. This time not so many colors as you've seen many times, but nonetheless, nice looking digipack release, 3 folding, black and white with the focus on gray and gray photos or paintings. And there is the CD. This is the liner notes side. And then of course, not so much of course these days when labels are saving money, but there is also a booklet which I'm gonna open here for the first time. As you can see, there are lyrics, and as you can see, they are in French, which you probably guessed as well as I did. So those who are not the French-speaking people might have to either, go for translation tools or just deal with it without understanding a word whatsoever the band is all about. But at least it's a nice looking digipack and the music is good, so let's talk about that. Before, however, it's worth mentioning that this band has been out there for only a few years, but despite that young age, they do have now 2 albums out. Mind you, I'm doing this video on the very late September, and the new album Les Chemins is out on October 10th. So I'm actually doing this review video a couple of weeks prior to the CD or album being out. But since we have all the information here, I mean, what's not to use really? Comes with 9 tracks, more than 45 minutes of music, and at least according to Metal Archive site information, as I was guessing, there is also a vinyl release coming out, so you don't have to settle with CD if you want a physical product and if you like the music. And musically, this is quite interesting because at the same time it sounds very French, but you could really kind of also get other kind of melodic black metal feeling out of the whole thing here. I'm talking about the kind of a Swedish French take on the music. Now, obviously, I think at least older metalheads know what I'm referring to when I'm talking about Swedish melodic black metal. Everybody kind of knows the style, that whether we're talking about melodic death metal or just pure black metal coming from Sweden, the more melodic style, you can kind of figure it out. It's kind of a darker, but at the same time very catchy, and not so extreme in style when we're talking about melodic black metal. Now, French black metal tends to be even more, I guess, lightweight, less extreme than Swedish counterparts, but there is this more medieval take so many times when we're dealing with French black metal coming very melodic background, or when we're talking even Québécois, French Canadian black metal coming from more melodic angle. Now, Les Bâtards too have this thing going on, but like I said, it doesn't sound purely so medieval or folky as a lot of those French black metal bands tend to do. And that's, I think, it's one of the things that really kind of separate or put them apart from a lot of other French black metal bands. Now, I could go for a list of Les Acteurs de l'Ombre or Ladlow Productions bands that have this more medieval, folky, melodic style coming from French bands, but kind of goes beyond the scope of this review and all. So let's focus on this album. Now, this is indeed done in a very, very traditional fashion, meaning 9 tracks, 45 minutes give or take, and that means most of the songs are rather basic. They're not exactly super short songs, but it's not overextending its stay. maybe except for a track or two. So as you can see probably here, most of these tracks operate around 3, 5, 6 minutes marker, and that's very, very good in terms of these kind of songs, meaning they are not overly compact, but they don't overly also go, progressive and branching out too much. They kind of keep the structure going on, and the focus is very much delivering good melodic blows right and left. And that makes this album actually good, because I tend to dislike a lot of songs which are just going on and on and on and don't know really when to stop, or they have like this multi-layer amount of different riffs, and you kind of get lost along the way, or at least lose interest. Like there's not enough repetition, or maybe there's too many filler riffs when you have those 10-minute songs and all. And luckily this band is avoiding all that kind of a typical trap. Now on top of that, and this is even more important than the track length, is that they're filled with interesting melodies. And while they are kind of keeping true to this one style only, there's enough variation. Sometimes there might be spoken parts, or sometimes it's more aggressive, sometimes it's more melancholic. So there's enough diversity in terms of keeping it to a one style, being this melodic French style, but still going on and true with different kind of sub-styles, if you will. And I think that's really one of the charming points here. I mean, it's not just repeating itself, but offering you a variety without going overboard. I mean, you don't hear, say, electric tracks or, death metal vocals or whatever. It is melodic black metal in a very, very traditional fashion. Now, another thing what I really like with this album is that the production is really good. And it's not like it's overly sterile or anything like that, but it's powerful enough and crisp and clear to really give a room to a lot of these instruments. So whether you're like, I don't know, focusing on drums, or you go for the guitar melodies or whatever, there's room for everything. It doesn't feel like overly stacked or, just feeling mushy. And in my opinion, melodic metal kind of deserves this crisp, clear sound, so you can really enjoy the melodies rather than just going for lo-fi rawness. And then you have these kind of typical black metal screamy vocals. They're not super screamy. I mean, they're not high-pitched Danny Field kind of a thing, but they're not really raspy either. For me, they are on the better side of things, but nothing out of ordinary. I can't really bitch about them, but can't really praise them. They are just quite okay, quite good black metal vocals, and that's what there is to say about it. So overall, I feel this is a good album. It could be even more catchier, could have even more impact, but production-wise, can't really bitch about anything. I think it's already reached kind of a high point, and I feel it's hard to get a lot better than this for this kind of music. But you can always go even further with, the catchiness and memorability with the melodies and all, or just write better melodies overall. So I wouldn't call this album great, if I'm totally honest about it, but I would call it good, because I think it's really doing their own respective style very well. So if you like melodic black metal, don't matter what the scene or subgenre we're talking about, you should be checking out this album, and I think you're gonna like it if melodic black metal is your kind of thing in the first place. However, obviously goes for another way too. So if you don't like melodic black metal, you want only extreme experiences with black metal, be it the kind of a raw lo-fi barbaric cavernous sound or some kind of a war metal take, this is probably not for you. But apart from that, I mean, if you're kind of a general all-around black metal fan, from atmospheric stuff to very raw end, from fast to slow, mid-tempo, whatever, give it a go. It's a good album for sure, and as always, if you like it, go buy it, but at least give it a chance. It should be out on streaming services by the time this release date is being done, and my review is out after this release date anyway, so there you have it. Now go and enjoy some French black metal. Bye bye.